questions. Dave Dickerson, associate head coach.
Yes, Mike.
Can you explain the impatience that they played with early? Was it just the confusion? Was it anxiety because of being on the road?
Well, I think the one thing you got to keep in mind is that Louisville is a very good team, and this is one of the best home courts in the country. And their pressure bothered us in the first half, and we couldn't get into any offensive rhythm. And as a result of pressing a little bit on the offensive end, I thought we took some quick shots, and our turnovers didn't help us in the first half. But they are the sixth best team in the country, and we're on the road playing a very good team.
Did they do anything specifically to take you guys off your game?
Well, we tried to simulate their pressure in practice, in which we didn't do a very good job of. I thought their pressure bothered us, especially in the first 10 minutes, where we couldn't get in a rhythm, and their offensive rebounding was as good as we've seen. And so from their pressure, we turned the ball over, and the fact that we couldn't get any defensive rebounds really took us out of our some of the things that we do well, which is scoring in transition and having some early offensive opportunities.
What ultimately convinced you guys to turn it over to D'Angelo those last dozen minutes or so?
Well, you know, when we struggle as much as we struggled in the first half, we were looking for just running, getting some type of offensive continuity. And D'Angelo, even though he didn't shoot the ball well from the field, we thought he competed well, and the pressure didn't bother him. And putting him on the basketball in the second half really paid dividends for us. And you know, the bottom line is that we just couldn't. The first half, we dug a hole for ourselves. And hopefully we can chalk this up as being December 2nd, and hopefully we can get better from here, and which we will.
Coach, you had three freshmen on the floor there in that second half with Russell and Tate and Cam Williams, and they just kept churning and got it all the way down to three. Just if you talk about, they didn't have it in the first half, but the poise that they showed in that second half to keep whittling it down.
Well, you know, the easiest thing for us to do is go tell our guys that we did a great job of coming back, and obviously we did. We showed some toughness, and you know, Cam did a great job of knocking down some threes, and Jayshawn Tate just played like an animal, which was good for us. And then D'Angelo, we're going to need him to play well for us this year, and I thought those guys settled down where the moment wasn't too big for them in the second half. But it was a tale of two halves. In the first half, we dug a hole in ourselves, being down by 17 at halftime.
How do you assess the way D'Angelo played? Like you mentioned, he shot 6 of 20, but he seemed to kind of get going there at the end, help you guys get back into it. How do you look at the big picture with him?
Well, you know, D'Angelo is a good player, but he's only a freshman. And so we won't put everything on him. We're more concerned about the other guys stepping up to the plate and playing well because, you know, even though he's one of the best freshmen in the country, we need to have some balanced scoring. And we need our older guys to play well, in which they will play. And we have no doubts about that.
Looking for a level to be aggressive. Can we just talk about how we played in the second half from that standpoint?
Well, I think Mark did a hell of a job of coming back in the second half and playing with some aggressiveness and some toughness. And you know, foul trouble was a big problem for us tonight. And but Louisville caused a lot of those situations with their ability to control the glass. And but Mark came back and showed some resiliency and knocked down a couple of threes in the second half that we desperately need. And now we just got to get to the point where we can get everyone playing well for 40 minutes and not dig a hole for ourselves. So, but those are some of the things that we'll work on, we'll talk about, and I'm sure we'll get better at.
If you guys knew that Errol was going to be a challenge, how how do you feel your interior defense is with such an athletic big that has the versatility that he does?
Well, he's one of the best players in the country. I know he'll be in contention for All-American, first-team All-American, and but the first half we just wasn't who we thought we were going to be, and they really dominated the boards, and they really turned us over a lot. But we got to get ourselves to the point where we can play well for two halves in a game like this. And but give credit to Louisville; they were as good as any team that I've seen to this point. And we just got to get back to Columbus and get our legs back under us and go from there.
Forgive me if this has been asked. Rick Pitino was talking about changing from zone to man to zone in the same possessions. How often do you see that, and how disruptive is that?
Well, like I said, I mean, they pressure you 94 feet, and they have a multitude of a lot of pressures. He's probably one of the best pressure coaches in college basketball, and he does a great job of it in the full court and in the half court. You know, he starts out in a matchup, and that goes to a man that sometimes goes back to a matchup, and in which we didn't do a great job of it in the first half, but I thought the second half we outscored them by 9 maybe, I think, and but the first half was the tail of the game to where we couldn't get anything going on a consistent basis.
You see confusion among your players, not recognizing the defense, or not?
Well, our guys knew what they were going to do, but you know, when you play against a team like Louisville that pressures you for 40 minutes, sometimes you can't simulate that in a practice situation. And he did a good job with his team of staying with it. But I thought our guys came back in the second half and played with some toughness and was had a good vibe about themselves and some confidence. And we came back into the game and had a chance to win it at the end.
You talked about why you went with D'Angelo down the stretch on the point. I think Shannon was on the bench for the last 12 minutes. Did you just not handle the pressure well enough to get you into your offense, or what?
Well, this is our 6th game of the year, and you know, as coaches, you do what you need to do and try and win the game. And obviously, we felt comfortable with D'Angelo the last 15 minutes of the game, and I thought he did a great job of handling their pressure and finding our shooters. But that don't signify that we're making a change in our program. Shannon Scott is an important person in our program, and we're going to continue to ride him, and he will bounce back.
All right, thank you.
Thanks a lot.